and this is Food Feast, and I cook, I give recipes, and I make food products too. So you can check us out on Instagram at Foodfeast UK, and on Twitter and Facebook at Foodfeast. Today we are going to be making Efo Riro, and after this is my favorite soup. Actually, I'm biased towards amala gbegiri and ewedu because I have to represent my Oyo tribe, but this is my favorite soup to make, and I love eating it at the same time. And obviously in the UK it's not that easy to find the leaves that you would normally use for a vegetable soup, so I usually use like different substitutes. So today I'm just going to take you through the substitutes that I would use and my process for cooking with them, and I'll explain my rationale for, because I use both spinach and kale, and I'll explain my rationale for using both. And yeah, so today we're making Efo Riro, and some other people call it vegetable soup. That's like the English name, but I call it Efo Riro. Yeah, and I'm gonna take you through my process, and I'm so excited about this because I love this soup. Okay, so here I've boiled my meat. I've got shaki, beef, mackerel, and some pomo in there. So what I do is, obviously shaki takes a long time to cook. I usually steam it first, then I boil all the meat together and add the fish last, and I just grill everything. So I've got all of that in this tray. Here I've got my spinach, and I've chopped it and rinsed it. If I was using proper vegetables, I would have blanched it with just pouring hot water on it and just rinsed it. But because spinach is literally 20 I would say it's 90% water, and it just withers so quick, I've decided to leave it and I'll just steam it in when I'm cooking it. So I've got spinach here. Yeah, and obviously, like I mentioned, spinach has a lot of water, so whenever I use it I tend to add kale in, because obviously kale is very, yeah, I've got kale here. Kale on the other hand is very, you can see how it is, the texture is a bit hard, so it kind of easily absorbs the water, and since I can't get the vegetable I would normally use easily, this is a good substitute. In here I've got my peppers. So I've blended 4 bell peppers, 2 red bell peppers and 2 green, 1 scotch bonnet, and half a bulb of onion. So I've got that in here, and I used my food processor because obviously you can see, if you look closely, you see that the texture is a bit different. So I didn't add any tomatoes, and I used my food processor. Obviously I used the blade function, and it chopped that nicely for me. And I was going to say, if you don't have a food processor, another method I use is I put the peppers in a normal blender with loads of water, and I just use the pulse function a few times just to make sure it doesn't blend it completely. Then I sieve it out. That helps too, but the consistency is definitely better when you use a food processor. Get a food processor, you would not regret it. And over here I've got the spices and the seasoning I'm going to use. So I've got my iru here, I've got my maggi, I've got my crayfish, and I've got my salt. And not to forget the star. I would say the star of the dish, even though you can make your Efo Riro without it, but I like my Efo Riro with palm oil. So I've got my palm oil in this cup, and I'm going to take you through the process of how I make my Efo Riro. Okay, the first thing I do is I pour my palm oil in the pan and wait for it to I don't necessarily blanch my palm oil because obviously it's not the healthiest thing to do, so I just literally wait for it to melt ish. Yeah, now that that's happened, I add my iru in, and if you're adding onions you can add them at this stage. So I add my iru in, and I wait for that to fry a little bit. Now that this one's fried for a while, then I add the peppers in. So after adding the peppers in, I just add all the seasoning, and literally I just leave this to cook on. I'll leave it to cook for about 15 minutes on medium heat. Then I'll come back and add the meat into the stew mixture. Right, 15 minutes later, the sauce is all cooked now, and the next thing I do is I add the meat and the fish. So I'm gonna add the meat and the fish now, and I'm going to leave that for about 5-10 minutes because I want them to. The word coming to my head is like I want them to marry together, but basically my point is I want the meat to take up the sauce, and yeah, just become one. Shasha. You know, English is not my first language. English should not come from me. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm just adding my fish, and earlier I told you what I've got in this baking tray. So it's a mixture of shaki, beef, fish, and pomo. And yeah, I'm going to steam that on high heat this time actually, because I'm just leaving it for 5 minutes, no longer. So I'm going to steam it on high heat, or if you don't want to steam it on high heat, you can do it on medium heat for 10. And obviously that's a better infusion process, but it depends on you. Just keep an eye on what you're doing, and you can see how beautiful. Like, meat in the sauce is a beauty on its own. Anyway, I'm going to leave this for a few minutes and I'll come back. Okay, so a few minutes later, and yep, they've cooked together long enough. And the next stage is I'll add the spinach. Now I would say if you don't want your fish to break in the soup, I don't mind happening with mine. I would probably advise you to take it out at this stage and add it towards the end, because spinach has a lot of water. This fish is going to end up turning to mush by the time I have to mix everything, do this and do that. So if you do not like broken fish, or I would have said maybe from the beginning, just debone them and put them aside and add it towards the end, or take it out at this stage. Anyway, so I usually add my spinach a handful, then I mix everything together. And like I said, spinach does have a lot of water in it, so you're going to see the outcome in a few minutes when I've left it to steam together. And you see how much it will shrink. You'll be surprised how the soup turns lifeless once the spinach starts to cook. Right, so this is our spinach after 10 minutes on low heat. You can see the water that I was telling you about. Now, if you wanted to just use spinach, obviously I used 2 bags of a normal size spinach here, and that's produced this. If you wanted to use just spinach, I will probably keep cooking this on low heat till the water goes, because I like my soup dry. But it's a preference thing. If you're the kind of person that likes a watery soup, hey, just cook it on low heat for a bit longer and that will be ready. But at the same time, I want more vegetables, so I'm gonna add the kale now, and I do the same process. I add a handful, I mix everything together, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook this on low heat. I'll check the taste to whatever taste I want it, and then my efo is ready. So basically this is the last step in your efo riro making. Add the kale and leave it to cook on low heat, and you can taste and add any seasoning depending on how you like your own soup basically. And I'll show you how it looks at the end. Right, now that I've mixed everything together, I'm just going to cover this and leave it to steam for about 10-15 minutes on low heat until it's fully cooked. And obviously keep checking the taste, and both of them will steam together, and we'll see how it looks in the end. I'd like to say a massive thank you for watching my video and visiting my channel today, and I hope your Efo Riro goes well. If you have any questions, just drop something in the comment section. I'm happy to help in any way. And when I can get the proper leaf that we use for the Efo Riro normally, I will make another video using that just to show you the different ways I make my efo. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends too. Show them how we make Efo Riro, especially for those people that might be coming from African countries and they want to make their vegetable soup and they're not sure of the substitute to use. I'll show you what you can do here today. Thank you so much. Bye everybody.